Alrighty, well, hey, church body. It is part 3 of our catching up with the interns, and I got Emmy Swonke with me tonight.
Hey guys.
Emmy is awesome. If you've ever had the privilege of getting to know her, just seeing her, she always lightens up your day. I wrote down 3 things that I love about Emmy Swonke, and she doesn't know that I'm going to say these things, so I'm going to catch her off guard. But when I think of Emmy, number 1 would be servant's heart. So Emmy's always thinking of how to serve others, always asking questions, always saying, "Hey Ben, do you need any help?" The amount of times that Emmy will come home from Wisconsin and be here for like 5 or 6 days and just come into the office and asking if there's any like copies that need to be done, or like, it's so silly. When I'm on vacation, like the last thing I want to do is make copies or help out anybody. Like, I want people to help me out by like refilling my Dr. Pepper and, going, she just loves to serve others and has that. Number 2, she is a great learner. She has a desire to learn, a desire to read and to listen that I love about her. And she gives me a different perspective. And so from that, not only is she willing to learn, but then she giving her opinion, I learned so much from her. And this is kind of spoiling the story of our friendship. But Emmy, guys, when I was interviewing to come to Tomball in August of 2016, Emmy was one of the first people that I met, one of the first persons I met, and she was the first student. I guess she wasn't a student because she was an intern, but she was part of the first student ministry person that I met, and she really taught me about all the history. I had no idea what Reverb was. I had no idea what 7-Eleven was. I had no idea. I figured 7-Eleven had something to do with the number 7 or 11. But swimming study, Honduras, all the P&G, the green laws, like, she was just like this encyclopedia that I could go to, and she could teach me about Tomball Bible. And I loved that about her. And she just had so many great stories and always positive. And that's my third thing. It's just when I talk with Emmy, it's always so Christ-centered and positive. And it's just, whether we're only catching up for 2 minutes or whether we talked for 30 minutes before we even started recording this Zoom call, that we get to catch up, and it's just always a positive thing. Even when both of us are conversing about really hard trials in our life and have some huge prayer requests, I always come away from those conversations being so uplifted and just having Emmy always being positive. So those are 3 things. I know there's so many students, especially our senior girls, that could probably list off 50 things, and y'all are watching this video and going, yes, very positive, yes. And y'all probably have so many great things, but Emmy is awesome. We always want her to come back, and we want her to stay in Tomball forever. But the Lord had different plans, and she's been doing some amazing things. So we are catching up with Emmy Swonke. So our first question is, Emmy Swonke, I got to meet you after high school, but what were you like growing up in what was this growing up as Emmy Swonke like when you were a teenager, when you were a kid?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thanks, Ben, for all those nice things about me. That was awesome. I feel so loved. Thank you. Yeah, I started going to TBC when I was a 7th grader, and that's when I became a believer. So I just remember being super talkative. I was probably pretty annoying. Hallie Nix was my Bible study leader, and I remember asking her when I was like in high school, I was like, how was I in junior high Bible study? And she's just like, you were always talking. Like I was just one of those kids that just wouldn't let anyone else answer the question. But also I really love the hospitality team. So I remember loving the hospitality team, but in high school I was a theater kid, super theater nerdy, and so I remember that a lot about myself in high school, and really involved and loved people. I don't know. It's so weird to think back on like who you were, because you're just like, I feel like I was just like really loved people, I guess,
Yeah. No,
and
I
talking.
totally see that. Hospitality, you were great at. We peaked when you were here with hospitality, and it's just we haven't gotten back since. So we
Not true.
well, when you were in high school, did you always want to be an intern, or that was something that nah, I don't think I'll do that.
You know what? I think thinking back on it, I always thought it'd be really cool. My brother was an intern more than once, and so I always kind of saw him as an intern, and I always saw him as a summer intern. And so I never thought of myself as a school year intern. So when I was asked like in August to be a school year intern, I thought that would be actually really cool. But yeah, I think I was always kind of like, oh, that'd be really cool, but I don't know if they'd ask me. Like, I don't know if I'm cool enough to do that. Yeah.
Oh, you're definitely cool enough. And so obviously, you were an intern, and were fantastic. You actually had a few roles. So you were in the school year. We also had you for the summer. You did stuff with the children's. What were like some of your favorite memories just interning?
Oh my gosh. I loved Reverb. I loved the video that me and Aaron made, the like video with the Nacho Libre like theme song. I loved our video. We did like the karaoke in the
Yes.
car video. I think I just loved like the Reverb time of life. But I think another great memory is just like hanging out with the staff too, like doing staff meetings, staff lunches. I remember you guys did like a goodbye lunch for me. We went to Topgolf. That was just really, really sweet. And then another probably favorite moment would just be like junior high retreat, being the students and with them and getting to know the students more.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Junior high retreat is always so awesome. S'mores, mud pit.
Yes.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm remembering wrong, but like my first year we went so late that the mud pit was closed, and it was like the biggest drama filled thing that we couldn't do the mud pit because we came in November and they closed it. But ever
I don't
since
know.
then, I was like, no, we need the mud pit in October. So
Yeah,
yes.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I've been to like 5 junior high retreats,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Yeah.
I've been to 4. Can you believe that, Emily Swonke? I've been to 4.
Yeah, you're moving up.
And parents and students, hopefully, we are still scheduled to go to junior high retreat in October this year. So we'll continue to pray that opens up Camp Tejas. My next question is one of my favorites. Is during the internship, what do you think you learned the most? What was God teaching you during the internship?
Well, during the internship was actually when I learned that I wanted to do full-time ministry. So I think one of my favorite things that I learned was just what happens behind the scenes to make something come out. So any event that we had, what had to happen between the moment we had the idea to do the event to when the event actually happened. Like what did we have to do to make it happen? And so I really liked learning kind of the ins and outs of a church and folding programs for that Sunday's church service.
Yeah.
I remember counting candles for our Christmas candlelight service. I remember having to count to make sure that we had enough for everybody. So I think just the biggest thing I learned was just the behind the scenes of a church and what makes ministry happen and what makes those connections happen.
Yeah. And so I think the cool part, and I'll let you speak about this next season, but it was really awesome. Guys, a lot of time we have ideas as youth guys or as lay leaders or as parents, where we really want you to stay in Tomball as much as possible and just hold you like this. But then there's some awesome but bittersweet moments where the Lord calls you away, but for something really awesome. And so after the internship, you went off to Bible school. And are we ready? Emmy and I worked on this, so let's see if I can still do it. Waukesha.
No, Waukesha.
There we go. Okay, so she went off to Bible school. Tell us about how awesome that was. And
Oh my gosh.
You have your shirt. Oh,
yeah, this is Ethnos 360 Bible Institute, everybody. Yeah. If you know the Green Laws are missionaries with Ethnos 360. So at the end of my internship, TBC sent me off. They prayed for me. They had an amazing goodbye party for me. It was awesome. I'll always cherish that. And I went off to Ethnos 360 Bible Institute for a 2-year program to get my associate's degree in biblical studies. And that was awesome. I graduated in May 2019, and it was great. We went chronologically through the Bible. We had almost every class was just titled Genesis or titled 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, and we just went verse by verse in most of the Bible. So that was just awesome. Made tons of friends, met girls that are like sisters to me, and I have mentors that are like my second home. And then I was there for this past year for a whole school year as an administrator in the kitchen, which never thought I'd do something like that. But I did the meal planning, I ordered the food, and I budgeted for the kitchen department. And that was a really good learning experience for me, just learning more just about full-time administration, what that looks like to be a department leader.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben's dad.
Hey, that's my dad, church body. He'll come in and get stuff. Yeah. We share an office space, so my
that's
dad.
the way to do it.
Okay. See ya. Yeah.
Bye. And then oh yeah.
Yeah, but what with that, what's so cool for me is obviously it's selfishly, it's like I like to see Emmy every single day. I'm used to that and seeing her in the office. And then but then different seasons of life, students and parents is, people move off and get different jobs and go. And so then you're only conversing like once a month or 4 times, 6 times a year. And then so it's like, well, let me be praying for you. And it's really cool, all these prayer requests we had for Emmy, and then years later, hearing her talk about it and seeing how many answered prayers that God did for us, and did especially for Emmy for that. And so, but that's just really great, guys, of Emmy being an amazing student, and just coming in with a servant's heart, wanting to serve, and then the Lord using that season to really show her, hey, I think you need to do full-time ministry, and for her just to be obedient to that call. And we are excited to see what God has in store for you. And again, hopefully it's at TBC. But we will be obedient to whatever the Lord tells us to do. But yeah, and then let me see what I wrote down for my next question is just really like, what is God teaching you right now? And I know God is teaching us all something different during this Corona and COVID time. But for Emily Swonke, what has the Lord been teaching you this season?
That's a big question.
Yeah, it is. Go wherever you want with it.
Yeah. So I actually started reading Acts about 2 weeks ago, and I just finished this morning. And I think I was just, after reading Acts, just sitting there and just thinking about that last verse about my Bible. So.
Oh, read it. Let's do it.
Yeah. The last verse in Acts is Acts 28:31. It's talking about how Paul lived there 2 whole years in Rome and welcomed all who came to him, proclaiming the kingdom of God and teaching about the Lord Jesus Christ with all boldness and without hindrance. So I think like what the Lord's been teaching me is that the gospel is not hindered. You know, there's nothing in the way of the gospel. There's nothing in the way of it being preached. Even Paul being in prison, like he wrote tons. That's where we get the prison epistles. And so it's like he didn't let anything. I think what I'm learning is just that through this whole coronavirus, through like everything, is that like the Lord's plan will be continued. And I can be a part of that. I can say, all right, Lord, like, let's do this together. And you can do it without me too. But I get to choose to do it with the Lord. And so I think that's just like the coolest thing that I'm learning, is that, man, like all these trials will come, all these different things will happen. A pandemic will occur in America and around the world. But the gospel will not be hindered, and I get to be a part of that. So yeah.
Yeah. And like, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. And
Yeah.
I think for us right now, when I'll speak for myself, when Ben thinks of summer, and when Ben thinks of student ministry, like one of the first things I think of is like mission trips, right? And going super far away for that. So whether that is, to the ends of the earth, or Honduras, or Uganda, or Kenya, or Turkey, or Czech Republic, or PNG. Now that I've listed off like 6, I should probably list off all 15, because people are going to feel left out.
Let's just keep going.
Keep on going. But really for us, like this, the summer of 2020, we were supposed to be going to see Rhonda in like a week and a half. And obviously the Lord, that wasn't part of his plans. And we were supposed to go see Sean and Abby, in Kenya. We were supposed to go to see Morris and Ida in Uganda. And for us going, okay, well, are we just going to take this 3-month break from the gospel? No. Hopefully people are audibly like, no, Ben, you're right. And so that's for us to continuing to share the gospel, but and how we want, and there is so much of a need for these unreached people groups far away, but for us to reach unreached people groups here in Tomball, in Cypress, in Magnolia, in this greater Northwest Houston, area. And so for us, I think that's what I really enjoyed listening to you share, kind of what I kind of thought of like, yeah, like we're continuing to share the gospel. The gospel's not hindered. Like we're going to share it to our neighbors and to our friends here in Houston. And so that's awesome, guys, students. As we continue to encourage you that we have zero excuses ever, but especially now that we are reading we are reading the gospel, we're reading scriptures every single day. And so hopefully hearing Emmy talk about what God's teaching her, hearing what Ben says, or hearing what Rob or Kyle or so many of these other leaders are learning, that you are encouraged and that you are convicted and inspired to dive into scripture, not just on Sunday morning, not just on Wednesday night, but every single day, to see what the Lord is teaching you with the scriptures that are alive and active and sharper than any two-edged sword. So thank you so much for sharing that. Before we let you go, Emmy, we got to do our favorite thing with the interns catching up, is the 7 things I hate about you. All righty. So the 7 things, we ask you 7 questions, and some of them are silly and some of them are super serious. But Emmy Swonke, question number 1, your favorite meal. All righty. Favorite meal for Emmy Swonke.
Chick-fil-A.
Knew it.
Period.
Chick-fil-A.
That's it. Yep.
I cannot wait. We're going to get Chick-fil-A together very, very soon. And it's going to be
Amen.
chef's.
And can I just say, I've been to so many different Chick-fil-A's, and the one in Tomball is the best Chick-fil-A I've ever been to.
There you go.
And it will continue to be the best one. I'm sorry if you don't work at that Chick-fil-A, you work at a different one, you should go to that one.
half the student ministry works at that Chick-fil-A, so that's probably why it's so good, Okay, number 2, our favorite question is.
It's just like home.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Number 2, and this is a hard question. I don't know if you'll be able to answer it. Your favorite reverb ever.
You know, I've been to like 7 of those. But I think the one that I remember the most, I don't even know. I feel like the one I remember the most is either just like the ones from my junior high days or the ones as an intern. I loved the like the girls Olympic reverbs when we would go out and do like the Olympics against all the other girls. That was always fun.
Shout out Bonnie and Whit. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember like just hamming on some cereal for like a relay race one time. So, I mean, they all just kind of mushed together, but I really enjoyed like the girls Olympic ones, and I love like our skits that we did for All In Reverb. That was awesome.
That was fantastic.
I love those.
We still have all the we have like the lifeguard preserver thing that you wear and all the and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've been meaning to put that up into the student center, but it's still in the closet, so we're gonna make a shadow box of that. That I think from a skit standpoint, that's my favorite skit that I've done. So we've done the lifeguards, then we did the time machine, then what was last year? Gosh. Oh, Stu and Lou came that drank Mountain Dew, and then this year was the DJs. So
nice.
We'll see
I'm
who
so
I
glad
invite.
that I'm so glad the skit thing is like continued on. That's awesome.
Yeah, and Skit Wars. I'll send you an email after we hang up of all the Skit Wars from this year. The Skit Wars were really good. You'd be proud. Especially the winner.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Honestly, Skit Wars is another thing that I just loved. I loved Skit Wars.
Okay. Number 3 would be a CD or artist or album that you're really liking right now. You can answer anything as long as it's appropriate.
That I'm liking right now.
Or something that you've liked forever. It can.
This is probably the part that Evan is gonna cut out. Let me just think for a second. Let me think. Oh, okay. Oh, I just. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is my connection good? Yeah. Okay. Sweet.
But it's fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just gonna say that I love the Will Reagan album.
Okay.
Called Tell All My Friends. It's just really awesome. I love like just his voice and all the songs, and I could like listen to that album over and over again. I also love Shane and Shane's Psalm album. Like I could listen to that over and over again. That's such a good album.
I've been jamming to Shane and Shane. I've also been jamming to Watermark recently. And that album and like band like is like 20 years old. If you put it on Spotify, you're gonna be like 1997, and I go yes. Anyway,
that's what I've been jamming to.
But been jamming to that. I've really liked that. Okay, number 4. Oh no, I lost it in my notes. No worries, it's coming. Let me find it. Okay. Oh, this is gonna be great. I think I know the answer to this question. All right. Favorite book or curriculum that you went over as a student in TVC?
Were you gonna guess DDH?
That was my guess.
Yeah, I would have to say, yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I think the main reason why I liked it is because it was such a commitment thing. Like, where us, however many girls committed to it. And so you were going through the study with the same group of girls the entire year, and you got to know them so well. And also it was with Abby Suit and Whitney Ford, and they were just amazing, amazing leaders. And I was a senior, so I was just with these girls that I've been in Bible study with for like 6 years. So like
Right.
Haley Hotchkiss and Jessie Hastings and all those awesome girls, Laura Emerson, that like I've known for so long. So it was just awesome.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, especially that group. That group's just stacked. Special group. Okay, number 5 is talent that you wish you had.
You know what? I wish I could play the drums. That I would love
Answer.
to just like jam out on some drums, like especially like worship songs that just get like super powerful in the bridge,
Yeah.
and they just like build up and then they just like go ham.
Yeah.
I'd love to just play the drums.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, the number 2, these are more serious questions. Favorite Old Testament hero or Old Testament story or passage?
You know, at first I want to say like Isaiah, because I really love like Isaiah the prophet, and I love his writings. Then you think of David, because you're like, oh yeah, King David. But like reading through Acts recently and thinking on like the new covenant in 2 Corinthians and just how important of a role Moses was, I would have to say like Moses is probably my favorite.
There you go.
And I loved how time again he didn't care about his image or his reputation towards the Jews, but he was just following where like, let's go back to Egypt. You know, he was like, no, like let's follow the Lord, and he was the one that kept looking to God when everyone else didn't want to. So yeah.
Perfect. All right, and then we got 2 more questions. But what is something, and then what is something that if you were to go back and to think of and talking to these students that might be in high school right now, what's something that you would give as advice to help in your spiritual walk when you're in college? So whether that's always have morning classes, or find an accountability partner, like what would be your words of wisdom for these high schoolers on how to continue to have your spiritual walk in college or life after high school?
I would say just you can never not pray enough. Like I would just say prayer is always amazing. And then having friends that when you ask for prayer, that they will pray for you.
Yeah.
Nothing ever can take prayer away from you. So you will always have that.
Yeah. I'm too busy not to pray. I love that book title. I love that phrase. It's something that I need to be reminded of weekly. I'm too busy not to pray. So I'm so busy that I need to pray. Alrighty, and then last thing is just your favorite verse. I know you already read from Acts 28, but just thinking about Emily Swonke, what would be like one of your favorite verses or passages that you just absolutely love and adore?
Well, when I was in junior high at Reverb, actually, we went through Matthew. Wow, I went to Matthew. 1 second. We went through Matthew 6 and just talking about being the light of the world, the salt and the light of the world.
Yeah.
And I remember after that Reverb, I think I was in 8th grade. That just became my life verse. So yeah, Matthew 6. Oh my gosh, I'm the worst.
No,
Can I rephrase that? Okay, can I restart? Because it's actually Matthew 5.
Evan will cut it out. All right.
Okay.
Here we go. Now, what would be Emily Swonke's like life verse, like your passage that you absolutely just adore?
Yeah. I would say my life verse ever since Reverb in 8th grade, just talking about being the light and the salt of the world. I've always loved that. Matthew 5:16, in the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. And just being a light, I just love that, and how the glory is always God's. It's not yours. It's not being a light so that you can be praised, but being the light for Christ and that it's his glory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a great reminder for us as a student ministry, as a church body, that we are the salt and light. And so, guys, continuing to be praying for our doctors, our first responders as we go through Corona. We want to be lifting up all of our college students that are back home right now, all of our young adults that are back, and former interns. Emily Swonke is awesome. Young ladies, high school girls, pick her brain. She is fantastic. She is so faithful. You'll learn so much from her. She is a great role model for you guys to run after. Our graduated seniors know so much about her because she was so influential with them when they were freshmen and sophomores. And so we love you, Emmy. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be with us, to catch up. And we will see you so soon, hopefully at church, worshiping together.
Yes.
We can pray that happens very soon. But we love you, and we'll talk to you soon. All righty? Bye, guys.
Thanks.